Alright, we're back in sports. Now, I'm going to say this right now. There's a lot of things that need to be addressed, especially for what happened over the week, or should I say even weekend. And I want to, talk about some comments that were in the last video, because as far as I'm concerned, some things need to be correct. Some things need to be talked about, okay? But before I get started on the Philadelphia Eagles, because I know some of y'all come just for the Eagles talk, but before I even get started, I want to start with the Philadelphia Phillies. That's right. Now, for those who don't know, Philadelphia Phillies actually made some good moves. That's right, they made some good moves. So, with that being said, they went and got Ken Morton from the, not Ken Morton, Charlie Morton from the Pirates, which is a good move, because they traded, Giles not too long ago for a number of pitching prospects. And at first when I heard this, I was like, oh God, because at first I didn't see who they got. I was like, oh God, like when I first heard it. I was like, they just traded Giles, you know what I mean? And then I saw the prospects they were getting. I'm like, this is a good deal. This is actually really well. You know, our farm system now should be really stocked with pitching because, let's be honest, that really hurt us last year. Not to mention, you have all these new names and everything. Like I said, the Phillies are in a rebuild. But this is something Philly fans can get excited for. They can. Now, of course, they are only prospects, okay? Which means they could be a bust when they come to MLB. We don't know yet. But I am happy to see that the Phillies are taking some type of initiative. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, I want to say that the Phillies did a good job. Giles, not too long ago, he gave his farewell speech to Phillies fans, and he said that, he loved the fact that Phillies fans booed him in his debut because he didn't throw 100 miles an hour. And he said he loved it. So it was one of those things that goes to show you that he recognizes the passion that us Phillies fans have for baseball. So, Giles, he didn't do anything wrong. He was a great player when he was here. He did what he needed to do. He knuckled down. He played the way he needed to play. So I don't think anyone can hold him, hold anything against him. And, good luck to his, as they would say, future endeavors. Now, with that being said, I want to talk about more baseball because we've seen a number of things happen over the weekend, have we not? A lot of signings and, people just leaving their teams. And I need to talk about the St. Louis Cardinals. What the fuck is wrong with you fans? You know what? No, I shouldn't say all you fans. No, not all you fans. So, St. Louis Cardinals fans, please, talk to me about these type of fans. Because for those who don't know, Jason Hayward decided to leave the Cardinals to go to the Cubs, which is a rival. Okay? That's a rival. With that being said, you cannot sit here and tell me it is okay for idiots to make these type of tweets towards Jason Hayward. You've got to be kidding me that you want him to die in crashes and blown up planes again. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Bruh, you want him to die on the plane because he left your team. Seriously. But no, that's not it. Then we got other dudes who decide they want him to run into the wall and then he have a career-ending injury. So if he would have stayed, you'd have been kissing his ass and been okay with him. But because he left, now you want him to have a career-ending injury. I guess it's not too bad since the other guy before, he wanted him to die. But, career-ending injury, he has a family fee, but that doesn't matter anymore, right? Because he left your precious team. But that's not all. No. Then you gotta have the good old-fashioned racism. Look, man, you gotta be kidding me. Look, come on, look. Obviously, you're not being adults about things. And I've said before, when you talk to fans on Twitter, it doesn't matter what fan base. It could be my fan base, you don't talk to too many people on Twitter when it comes to that shit because they're fucking idiots. And I'll have more examples for you today as well, okay, when it comes to fucking idiots. But, like I said, it's one of those things where you don't take it too seriously. At the end of the day, it's sports. I understand fans are frustrated. I understand you want to say you suck or blah, 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 but you're wishing death on a guy, career-ending injuries. Now you want to go right to racism. And here's the thing. I want to hear St. Louis fans what they feel about this issue because those tweets were from a St. Louis fan who was exposing these people because they deleted their tweets after they tweeted it. That's right, but it was already caught. You should know by now. Once it's on the internet, it stays on the internet. So it's one of those things. But it goes to show you that the frustration of fandom can turn immature really quickly. And it's just one of those things where you just got to look at people like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because if you think about it, you're not seeing this in real life. You're not seeing dudes in the stands, I wish death on you, I hope career-ending injury. You want to know what happens if people start standing up and yelling that type of shit to players? You want to know what happens? They'd be escorted out of the building. Because, once again, internet is different than reality. You understand that internet, and sports, it happens in everything that you're passionate about. Internet amplifies things 10 times over. It does. Because when people are talking about their sports teams or said player or whatever, you may hear, yeah, man, that guy sucks or whatever. But you're not going to hear, you're a fucking idiot, blah, blah. You don't see that shit. You don't see that shit in real life. No, because there's consequences. That's why. With that being said, with consequences, I want to move on. And I want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. And it seems like people still haven't understood how I do these videos, all right? Because I come at them from 3 different angles every fucking time, and you still don't get it. One angle could be from a coach's perspective. Yeah, we won, but we can improve, which means this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem, and it needs to be fixed before it goes any further. That's one. Then you have the fan perspective, where I'm like, hey, they did great, but, I'm still going to criticize them because players are acting a fool. They're acting brash more than what they really are. You got players calling out, fans now saying that they suck and whatever, and they're going to start blaming the fans for losing, and then we see the flip-flopping, and we will talk about that later, okay? And then you have the media side, which I always address, because you have to realize when I sat here last week and I said, I'm not going to flip-flop, that I'm not going, just going to change, have a change of heart. I'm going to stick to my guns and say that the Eagles, their season is over and we're just playing spoiler. And what did I also say? If they go over 7 losses, then it's done. Right now, they're hanging by a thread. 2 weeks in, they're still hanging by a thread. But with that being said, you have to understand the reason I'm saying that is because I don't want to look fickle. I don't want to look like a flip-flopper. I don't want to look like a bandwagoner. I will give you proof of that this week as well. With that being said, let's move on to the Eagles. Sam Bradford. Now, I want to address this first and get it out the fucking way, okay? Last week, some of you said, Sam Bradford is our guy. He's the guy. Who else would you get? Would you get Colin Kaepernick? You know what? You're damn right I get Colin Kaepernick because you know what? Because Colin Kaepernick has been to the big dance. He's been to the Super Bowl and almost made it again. And you have to understand that with the team that he's playing with right now, a lot of their player personnel, left last season, okay? A lot of their coaching personnel, you know what? Left last season. And now, yeah, he's injured. But I would take him any day over Sam Bradford, who hasn't played in, 2 years? You're damn right. And when you said this and said that Sam Bradford is our guy, you do realize that last week when he played against the Patriots, he only threw for 120 yards? You understand that? Yeah. I can see this is going to turn into a Kevin Culp thing again. For those who haven't watched my videos from those years ago, when everyone was meat riding Kevin Culp because of what was going on, and I said what? Nope, he's not the guy, and even though he's playing somewhat well, and if you think about it, he performed better than fucking Sam Bradford is right now. But you know what? People don't want to see that. They don't want to look at that. And I said, 250 yards, that's a fair game, because if you have a franchise quarterback, a guy that you're going to lean on, a guy that you think is the future of this fucking team, he would have to throw in the high 200s, 300s consistently and actually perform very well. We haven't seen that consistently enough for Sam Bradford. Don't tell me, oh, well, it's just his first year. He's going to get better. You don't know what's going to happen with Sam Bradford, especially the fact that he was already hurt before. No, all right? Let's talk about this week then, okay? Because as we know, Sam Bradford played a somewhat fair game. Somewhat fair, and I say this due to the fact that the number of receivers that he hit. All right, that's why. But offense really didn't move the ball much, did they? No, because once again, defense and special teams do everything. And I'm getting real sick and tired. DeMarco Murray had, 30 yards rushing? 30 yards rushing. All right? You got Riley Cooper, who I'm still trying to figure out why is this guy still on his team. He blows a big catch in the beginning, all right? And everyone wants to credit him for what happened in the second, before the halftime, in the first half. He got out of bounds so that we can get that field goal. Should we talk about what happened in the second half when he got that penalty and gave them 15 yards near late in the game? Matter of fact, should we talk about Sam Bradford, how he took that sack late in the game and gave the ball back to the Bills, which, let's be honest, all right? The Bills had no reason, they had no reason to be coming back in that game at all. The Eagles were up, you let the Bills come back, and you choked away a lead, then you kicked the field goal, and then near the end, Sam Bradford, instead of throwing the ball away, he takes the fucking sack and gives it back to the Bills. The only reason why the Bills did not score is because their lack of discipline when it came to penalties late in the stretch. But no one wants to talk about that. Now, it's we won. That should be it. That's the problem with Eagles fans. All they do is look at the shit on the surface. So, fine. Let's break it down. Let's look at the big play, the only play really pretty much that Sam Bradford made during that game in the first half. And let's see that the defense actually quit on the fucking play, and Sam Bradford had no business actually throwing that ball down the middle.
Winning the battle at the line of scrimmage. Bradford from the gun. This is 2nd and 26. Coming for him again. Bradford steps up, takes a
Now, is that a Bradford problem? Yes, I say it's a problem because he got lucky. If that defender, all right, because it really is a Bills' lack of effort. Let's be honest here, all right? Player doesn't keep up in pace when it comes to running. As you can see, he slows down. He slows down, and he never looks back. So you know what that means? He doesn't look back at the time he's supposed to. He slows down thinking that the receiver's not going to catch, that he's not being targeted, and he gives up a touchdown. Now, if he stays in pace and looks back, you know what happens? Interception. That's what happens. This is what I mean. And I put it like this. Yeah, it happened with the Bills because of lack of effort at that time. Could you imagine when we play the Cardinals? You think that's going to happen with the Cardinals? Do you think they're going to do the same thing with the Cardinals? Because I guarantee you the Cardinals are not just going to sit back and say, okay, I can take off this play and just give, least amount of effort. There's no way you can sit here and say that. So, yeah, Sam Bradford looks good because that's his only big play. It's the only highlight of the game. All right? But you have to understand that that was a very risky pass, and it should have been intercepted by a competent defender. It should have been. But I want you to listen to the commentators and say, well, the guy did turn back, but he just lost his way. I want you to hear this stupidity because before, for those who don't know, they were piping up Bradford the entire game. All right, when he was overthrowing players, that was a good play by Bradford, but, the receiver didn't catch it. No, receiver had to stretch out to try and catch it, and he couldn't. If he'd have threw it closer, he'd have been able to pull it in, but that wasn't the case. This is how commentators acted all day with Sam Bradford.
Right here, and then watch this throw as Bradford just hangs in there, keeps his vision down the field. And the safety, Corey Graham, number 20, he's trying to match up with him. He turns his head and loses vision. So
as you can see, the defender looked back at the wrong time, okay? Lost pace, he assumed. That was the problem. He assumed the ball wasn't being thrown, and he slowed down. Any competent defender wouldn't be doing that. They would have stuck with it, and that wouldn't have happened. It would have been interception, because let's be honest here. If the defender, all he has to do is turn around the right way and square up, it's right to him. That's it. Bottom line. But I also want you to hear this, and for those who think I'm being too harsh with Sam Bradford, I want you to hear how, in general, the team did not play well offensively. All right, you've got all types of penalties that killed the drive. We had one offensive touchdown drive. I want you to remember this because for everyone saying, oh, we have hope, they're just going to turn around in these last 3 games of the season. Mind you, this is how deep of the season we're in, and we're still having these problems. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Listen to this shit.
To be Debbie Downer, and I think we did enough to win. I think the defense played well, but in truth, Ray's absolutely right. The penalties kill their offensive drives. How many? 5 or 6 holding penalties at key moments, pushing them back. So I think the defense did a decent job, but it got a lot of help from the Bills, number one. Number two, offensively, we had 1 touchdown drive. The second touchdown came after the turnover. A nice catch by Nelson Aguilar, which was a good sign because we're going to need Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah, but still too many drops.
Dropping balls. We're going to need him to be a deep threat, and he established himself a little bit as a deep threat. I think the stars of the game were our kickers.
Now, I will disagree and say that the players of the game are our kickers. The punter did his job, all right? But Sturgis, once again, you can't trust him because he's inconsistent. That is the problem that we are having right now. Yeah, he played well that game. But no, game ball goes to the defense, and I give a game ball also to the special teams because late in the stretch, special teams did what they need to do. So that's how I see things, all right? The offense needs to get it together. You cannot sit here and tell me, because every time I'm telling you this and saying that there's a problem, regardless if we won, we have a number of problems that need to be fixed this late in the season, and some of you are like, well, you should have hope. You should have faith. We can make the playoffs. Okay, so then let me ask you this then. Maybe this is too much of a loaded question. If we get into the playoffs, what are we going to do? What type of noise are we going to make in the playoffs with this type of problem going on? You have no offensive, pretty much, production. What are we going to do? How far do you think we're going to do? Do you think we're going to go to the Super Bowl with this? Huh? Now look, I'll put it like this. I'm happy that they're actually fighting again because, as we know, they were getting blown out for a number of weeks. All right? And fans were like, you suck, blah, blah, blah. And I said the same thing, which is why I'm sticking to my guns. All right? And saying that the season's over. And they're playing spoiler for other teams. That's what I'm saying. Okay? But you've got to be kidding me that all of a sudden, we're just going to throw all this shit out the window of just what happened not too long ago, and all of a sudden, we're back on track, we're good, Bradford's our guy, the offense is good. No! Get the fuck out of here with that. It's time that people start looking at things realistically. But when I say these things, you think I'm just being negative. You have to understand the reason I'm sticking with my guns is because, once again, people are starting to see Eagles fans flip-flop, and now they're calling us a bunch of bandwagoners. That's right. And it's not from other fan bases, no. It's not even within our fan base, no. Now, the mainstream media is saying it.
In the meantime, Gov, what do you think? Should we go across the studio to Jillian?
Absolutely.
Yeah, very good.
Look,
Don't need anything from the Gov.
The bandwagon is moving at warp speed right now.
Warp speed ahead. Let's check in.
Eagles fans, I've been trying to tell y'all this for how long? Stay 10 steps ahead of the game, man. But y'all don't want to listen. Y'all think that, that if y'all just, have this blind hope. It's one thing to look at things and analyze things and say, hey, this team has a legit shot or something. But now that we're so desperate for a win, because we were desperate for that win. We were. You can't sit here and tell me that we should just lean on hope. And that, if you say something, you're being negative. No, it seems like a lot of people don't realize there's a difference between negativity and criticism. And if you give criticism, then all of a sudden, you're not a good fan. You realize that these people are setting you the fuck up, right? Especially the media. As soon as the game's over, tweet us with your reactions. That's exactly what they want. Because then they want to peg you. They'll treat you like a bunch of fucking worker ants if you haven't realized. Stay 10 steps ahead of this shit. But it's not just Eagles fans. No. It's also, other Philly fans as well. Because I'm going to talk about Sixers fans as well. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Because y'all act like a bunch of worker ants too. But that'll be later. I just want y'all to know that at the end of all this, I've been doing this for so long, for so many years. I have seen every type of fucking Eagles fan come and go. And I've dealt with all of them. Alright? If you think that there's not a method to this madness, there's something wrong with you. Alright? Now, like I said, maybe you weren't around back then. Maybe you didn't see all those type of things. You know what I mean? Eagles fans fighting with other fan bases, or Eagles fans fighting with themselves. Maybe you weren't around for that. You know what I mean? You didn't see the groups get together like Philly Heat and stuff like that. Maybe you weren't around. And that's fine. But when somebody has this type of longevity, and they've been talking about this, and you can go back to old videos from years ago, and I predicted all this. There's a reason. There's a reason why Philly fans, at first, they didn't like me. All right? Eagles fans did not like me. But then they were like, you know what? You were right on this, you were right on this, you were right on this. So even though they didn't like me, they still respected me somewhat. Somewhat. But the fact is, you have to understand that there is always somebody trying to get you. There's always somebody trying to look at your fandom and dismantle it. Or question it. You have to understand that. So when I come in here and, and get on camera and I say what I need to say because I'm looking at this shit for what it is, and you get mad at me. Well, challenge your own opinions? Ooh, too bad. Too bad. Deal with it. But the fact is, you have to look at it for what it is. Like I said, I'm going to stick to my guns, and like I said, I hope I am wrong. I hope that the Eagles do make a run and go into the playoffs and win the fucking Super Bowl. Prove me wrong, please, because you know what? I'll be the first to admit it. I will. Unlike a lot of people on here, they can't admit when they're wrong. I will admit that shit in a heartbeat, okay? If they go and do that. But right now, I'm sticking to my guns and saying that the season is over because of shit like this. Because it makes us look bad. And before anybody says, well, fuck the media, and we don't need them, and you know how us Eagles fans are, fuck it's us against the world all the time, but you still rely on the media. You still talk to the media. I still see you retweeting the media. I still see you talking towards the media. If you don't give a shit about the media, then why are you being bothered with them? Yeah. And like I said, it's not all of you. It's not. But you need to see shit for what it is. That's why I keep saying, don't talk to every fan that you see on Twitter because not all of them are... They're just fucking idiots. A lot of them. And I'm not saying just the Eagles fan base. I'm saying, like I said before, earlier in this video, sports fans in general. Doesn't matter what fan base you belong to. Because as we know, every fan base has them. Do they not? Alright. I want to move on. I want to talk about football overseas. I'm not going to talk much about it due to the fact that Chelsea actually plays today against Leicester City, and I am not looking forward to that. Not at all. I think this is going to be a wash. I think Chelsea, I'll probably say, if they can get on their horse and go, I think they got a chance. But for those who don't know, Marino is talking about swapping Hazard for James Rodriguez. So once again, we've seen the signs are on the wall. Remember, he benched Hazard not too long ago, and he benched Costa, and there's talks about Costa staying, and Marino's like, no, Costa's not going anywhere. Marino is really messing this up. And even though Hazard has had some lackluster play, did you see the way he played last year? Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, you've got to be kidding me that all of a sudden you're making these swaps. And man, I mean, if this is trying to make a message to the locker room, and you've already thrown the locker room under the bus, as we've seen for weeks before, that's not going to shake up the locker room. That's not going to say, oh, anyone's expendable. That's not what it does. It just pisses off the locker room even more. It's almost like managers or coaches these days don't understand to have a skillful touch with making decisions when it comes to these things. Chip Kelly had a chance to make a statement, and he didn't. You know what I mean? When it came to things like this. Moreno had a chance to make a statement early in the season before he decided to open his mouth and throw them under the bus. And he didn't. So that's the difference. Now that you're doing it, and then, giving what happened with Hazard, and then you bench Costa, and it's just a bad look. That's what it is. It's a bad look. But I will say, I did get a chance to see Bournemouth versus Manchester United, which Bournemouth, spots of reckless abandonment, which I've always praised them for that, and then we went right back to the flopping. Same player that I showed you last week, did it this week again. I'm just going to lay here, and I got so disgusted by it, I walked away from TV. I'm just going to lay here and wait for the medical staff to come out and have something to eat and have some drink. Same thing. Same fucking thing. And the commentators were like, well, he's been dealing with a rash of injuries. I'm not trying to hear that shit. I am not trying to hear that. If he is so fucking injured, he would not be out there. Obviously, the medical staff looked at him before the game and in the practices, up to the game and said, he's fine, he can go. Don't give me that. But all of a sudden, this is something that we're seeing now with Bournemouth. And they're just sitting and just holding and stalling for time. No. I absolutely disagree with that. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a flop. However, it doesn't beat the Griffin Force flop of the week. Hell no, because it goes to basketball once again. How the hell do you call this? No, seriously, look at this and tell me that for some reason this should have been called.
On the wing to Boltman. Not there.
That's disgusting, despicable. It's a mockery to the sport. It is. I mean, you've got to be kidding me that we're seeing people do this blatantly. Like, clearly it's a fucking flop. I mean, come on, man. And the thing is, yes, it's funny to watch because you make yourself look like an idiot, but you shouldn't, as a competitor, you shouldn't even be thinking about that shit. The guy barely bumped you. Instead of, using your weight and resisting, you throw yourself on the floor? Like, come on, man. All right, you know what? Let's just move on. I want to talk about more basketball, the 76ers. I said I'd get to it. I talked about worker ants, and now I need to talk about 76ers fans. Now, with that being said, not too long ago over the weekend, all right? I believe it was over the weekend, or was it a little bit earlier than that? Some of you had messaged me about the Sixers, and you said, do you see this? You were in a conversation with another Sixers fan. And what did I tell you about Sixers fans who are desperate and who are hopeful of the process? What did I tell you about that? I said you shouldn't listen to them because there's something fucking wrong with them. You shouldn't listen. The process is bullshit. I told you that, all right? But you still had this conversation anyway with these Sixers fans, and then you brought it to my front door. And what did I say? Shouldn't take them seriously. All right? Because you cannot go by that. Because the process is bullshit. And the entire time, you see these guys arguing with these Sixers fans who are so dead on with the process. They're believing the process. And then you got to drop this type of news on them. So for those who don't know. The Sixers have hired Jerry Colangelo. And Jerry Colangelo himself is saying he's wasting no time changing the process. He says that the process is over. That it's done. He's canceling. It's 86. Or should I say in this point, 76. But you've got to be kidding me that you still have these fans walking around sitting there saying, it's the process. And then the process, and here's the thing, these fans are saying it, they even admitted that they're not even watching the games. They're not watching the games because it's mediocre play. Now, of course, at this point, anybody can say, well, you're sitting there saying believe in the process, but you're not supporting the process because you're not watching the games, thus saying you're not a real fan. You could say that, all right? I won't go that far. Because the fact is, those games are really hard to watch, and not everyone can stomach it. I'll sit there and say that. I mean, just not too long ago, they lost by almost 20 points? Or was it 20 to the Raptors? So, yeah, you got to understand that. But you can't also, but that's another thing. You're always going to have those people who grind on them and say, you believe in the process, but you're not supporting the process. You're not going through that pain of watching it and seeing this is why people feel as though it's garbage. So your view on things is kind of limited, all right? Because you're not, you really don't have that much perspective. You're not watching the games, but you believe in the process. And then you challenge people who don't believe in the process when they're watching the games. You get what I'm saying? So, yeah. There's like I said, the perspective, it's off, all right? But That's what they're saying. Now, with that being said, Jerry Colangelo has stepped in. He is saying, he's saying all the right things, how the process is pretty much dead, and then says he's going to make changes, and then we find out that the Sixers are talking about hiring Mike D'Antoni. So here's my thing. This is what I'm feeling. I'm like, yeah, Jerry Colangelo, you got me. The process is dead. We changing things. It's going to get better. The Sixers talks to Mike D'Antoni for associate head coach. What? Like, that's all. What? No. Anybody who knows Mike D'Antoni's his resume, he shouldn't even be in the league either. He shouldn't. As a coach, it's running. It was because of him when he was with the Phoenix Suns. He had this run and gun offensive style. All right, it was no defense. Then he went what? Was with the Knicks, running gun, no defense. He went to the Lakers, running gun, no defense. Then you want to bring him on to the Sixers, who already have problems with losing from 20 to 30 points? That's not too long. They lost by fucking 50. You've got to be kidding me. And listen, you're bringing on a guy who doesn't even care about defense to a team that's getting lit up like this. It's going to get even worse. So no. Mike D'Antoni is not the answer when it comes to associate head coach. It's not. Now, as we know, Brett Brown has signed on, I believe, for 2 years? So, another 2 years of train wreck. And apparently, it was the Coaches Association or whatever. This is why Jerry Colangelo was hired, because people are being they're so upset in the association that this is happening to, Brett Brown, because they're saying he's a great coach, he's a great motivator, and you're not doing, any type of justice to him. You're pretty much tanking his record and killing his record. Because in the future, if he leaves the Sixers, all right, and you look at that record on paper, and you know that's how some of these execs are. They just look at the paper, they look at the record and say, nah, nobody would want to hire that guy. That's what they're saying. He probably it would be shocking. I'll play this. If he doesn't have someone to vouch for him, he probably wouldn't even get a job in college because of that record. All right? So, yes, the Coaches Association, all of them, they're very upset at the Sixers organization in general. All right? Because of the process. Now, with that being said, think about this for a minute. Count back. How many players didn't want to come to the Sixers organization because of the fact of the front office? Now, so you got the players who are upset at the Sixers organization. Now you have coaches who are upset at the Sixers organization. And now Jerry Colangelo has to step in. The Sixers organization is fucked. That's what it is. It's fucked. The front office, there's a problem. If you cannot see that by now, and this is worse than Billy King, because at least they were winning games with Billy King. But this is, come on, stop. And yet you have these worker ants. You believe in the process. We're not watching the games, but we believe in the process. That's bullshit. And that's what people are going to say every time. It's bullshit. You're not watching the games, but you believe in the process. And they're going to say, what type of fan are you? Listen, I'm watching these games all the time, and I'm just like, this shit is horrible to watch. This is embarrassing. I can't believe I'm watching it. But I'm watching it because I'm supporting the team and because I'm watching the sport of basketball. And though people are saying, oh, it's lack of competition, there's still competition there. You're still running back and forth. You're still seeing guys execute plays correctly. Maybe not on the Sixers, but on the other team that are executing plays correctly. You're still watching it for the love of the game and see the way the fundamentals are built. That's why you're still watching it. But it seems like a lot of people don't understand that. So when people say they believe in the process, and I've been saying it for a while now, it's bullshit. Jerry Colangelo now saying it's bullshit. All right? There's no rap. There's no excuse. No rap about it anymore. The process, as far as I'm concerned, is dead. It's been dead. But now it took Jerry Colangelo to come in and say that. It finally did. So I think this process thing that people believe in, you can go somewhere. There's the door. Matter of fact, don't even go to the door. Take the window. Take the window. Because the fans that are sitting here saying you believe in it, yeah, I have a problem with that. Big problem with that. But like I said, everyone has their opinions, and it is what it is. But you can't go, you really can't deny what you've seen so far. The blowouts, the way players won't come here. They'd rather be waived, all right, than come here. Hell, AK-47, Karolinko, he went to a different country to avoid coming to the Sixers. What does that tell you? Like I said, nobody believes in this front office. So if you're going to get on somebody, you got to get on Sam Hinkie for the process, and you got to get on the owner. All right? It's not just the players. The players are playing horribly, all right? But it's not just the players. You have to look at the front office. You do. Now, I want to move on, and I want to talk about boxing. That's right, for those who don't know. Tyson Fury. That's right, we got more Tyson Fury news, all right? It seems like every week since this guy has won the championship, there's a problem. There's a huge problem with this guy, right? And they're just trying to, I feel as though they're trying to get him. They're trying to. So, Let's talk about this. Tyson Fury already stripped of the title. That's right, of one of the titles because he won't fight Glazkov. That's right. Also, he's being investigated by police for anti-gay comments. Look, whether you make an anti-gay comment or not, okay, to be investigated by police for something that's being said as opposed to somebody having some type of hate crime, physically putting your hands on somebody or something, I think it's ridiculous. And I think that people they need to remember that these are boxers. These are guys who get punched in the face for a living and punch people for a living. No one says that they're going to be Renaissance men. See, that's the media, once again, trying to class it up. Because let's be honest here. When you're watching Premier Boxing Champions, you see these guys in these suits and all. It's nice. It looks classy, does it not? And you feel as though it should be classy because boxing is a gentleman's sport. But if you go back and you look at boxing, back in the early days, the black and white films, barbaric as fuck. Alright? Barbaric. Not only that, not just lack of technique, but they would fight for fucking 25, 30 rounds and just beat the fuck out of each other. There's a reason why Jack Dempsey came up with the Dempsey roll, okay? Because smaller guys fighting bigger guys, you need the momentum when you roll to throw that punch. There's a reason, okay? Bare knuckle brawlers, things of that nature. It's always been barbaric. So for anyone to hold a boxer to a high standard, to me, it's absolutely ridiculous. Now, granted, you're saying, as a functioning citizen in real life, yeah, he shouldn't have said those things. What's wrong with this guy? Of course, you're going to have people say, well, he doesn't care. He's crazy. He's going to do what he wants to do. But can you imagine being punched and constantly punched and punched and punched and fucking punched? You don't think it's going to do anything to your brain? You don't think that at all? Okay. With that being said, with Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua trains and waits for an easy fight against Tyson Fury. Because let's be honest, we've been talking about this for a number of weeks now. Tyson Fury is an easy fight. He is. He is the Buster Douglas of this generation. He got lucky. He took the gamble and went all out. But when you have somebody like an Anthony Joshua, or when we talked about Deontay Wilder, and you guys said, in the comment section, Deontay Wilder would kill that man. When you have actual physical specimens against Tyson Fury, he is going to lose. Bottom line. He is. I think that with this going on, because it is a sideshow at this point, all right? We saw him dress up as Batman. We saw him singing in the ring after the fight. No boxer ever does that. They don't. And if you ask some, some traditionalists, some guys who are like hardcore boxing, they'll let you know. They were very offended by it. That's right. Because that's not how you act. But it is what it is, right? So now we have the sexism comments, the misogynist comments, he said women should stay in the kitchen and feed kids. Now we have the anti-gay comments where he's being investigated. They're trying to get this dude. They're waiting for this guy to open his mouth so they can get him. That's what it is. And you know what? Tyson Fury doesn't know when to shut the hell up, so he's going to give them what they want. That's what it is. If he keeps his mouth shut, they don't have anything to go by. Anyways, talking more boxing. I got a chance to see Premier Boxing Champions not too long ago. And what happened with Chris Arreola? All right, Kaufman was just absolutely horrible. For those who don't know, Kaufman beat this man. He beat this, knocked him down. He controlled the match. He beat him completely. All right? And then the decision came up for this fight.
Ringside judges, your first judge, Ursula Perez, scores the fight 114 to 113, seeing it for Arreola. Your second judge at ringside, Rovero Esperon, scores the fight 114 to 113, seeing it for Kaufman. Your third and final judge at ringside, Valerie Dorset, scores the fight 114 to 113 for the winner by split decision, Chris the Nightmare Arreola. And you can hear the reaction from the crowd.
I don't know what fight that the judges were watching, but clearly Kaufman was leading on rounds. And you give it to Arreola, maybe because it's a politics thing, maybe because Kaufman isn't very well known as opposed to Chris Arreola, but Chris Arreola, he lost that fight. Fair and square, he lost that fight. And I feel it's just wrong. I don't understand. Look, we already know, don't leave the fights up to the judges. But if you're going to be a judge, be competent. It's clearly that Kaufman won this fight. I mean, it's hard to watch. This is what hurts boxing every fucking time. If you are not competent in your job, you don't deserve this job. And there's a reason why they have these investigations on these judges every once in a while. You know what? It shouldn't be every once in a while. You should have a committee at this point every time, no matter if they get it right or wrong, to oversee these judges if you're not going to fire them. Because it's absolutely wrong. Seriously. You need to have an overseer of this. It's absolutely, and the thing is, you shouldn't have to because governing body and all, but let's be honest here. This is what boxing has come to. It has. There's a reason that the big pay-per-view markets are falling down and you need to come down to TV because UFC is kicking your fucking ass. And even though UFC does have its problems with its judges, it does, you still get your money's worth, all right? Or should I say, I shouldn't say money's worth. I shouldn't because I am so mad at the UFC. Look, it is Monday. It's Monday, okay? Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo happened on Saturday, and I'm still salty over it. Look, I will put it like this, okay? It doesn't matter who won, all right? I thought Aldo was going to win, but it doesn't matter who won, okay? Because that's not what I'm mad at. This microwave fight bullshit, you've got to be kidding me. Look, this is how it was. 1 o'clock in the morning, I stay at 1 o'clock in the morning. This is how I am. This is how the fight, this is my reaction to the fight. That's my reaction. Because you got to be kidding me. 13 fucking seconds. Champion for, 10 years? 13 seconds. Now look, I will put it like this. This is what happens also when you have not fought in, a year? This is what happens. Ring rust, cage rust. You were so amped up. Your emotions were so in it that, and a lot of people said the same thing. You got to calm down and look at it for what it is. This momentum took him. Yes, his momentum took him because, let's be honest here, Conor McGregor didn't hit him that hard. And they had a one-punch exchange with each other. That's what happened, all right? And he just goes down. It's not even 2 hammer fists. 1, and I'm going to say 3/4 of a hammer fist, and the guy was like fucking Frankenstein like this, and they had to stop the fight. And it really bothers me because I'm thinking to myself, maybe he could have recovered. You would think that a champion as Aldo like that, you'd give him a chance to fight back, which is why I said I thought it was a short fight stoppage. It was a little premature because if you look at the fight before that, now, don't get me wrong, all the fights leading up to that fight were amazing, all right? But you have, Luke Rockhold fighting Weidman, and in the 3rd round, he is beating the ever-loving shit out of Weidman. And even though Weidman's turtled up, the fight should have been stopped. And a lot of people said the same thing. You know, a lot of professionals said the same thing. Fight should have been stopped in the 3rd, as we know, got stopped in the 4th, as we know, okay? But the fact is, this is something that you can't have, all right? Other fights that were great. Romero versus Jacare. I thought Jacare won that fight because Romero should have had a point taken from him when he grabbed the cage in the 2nd round. And he blatant grabbing the cage. You cannot do that. You can't, okay? And it changed the momentum of that 2nd round because Jacare was going for a takedown. And it changed the momentum of that fight in the 2nd round. And I felt Jacare won the 3rd round. So it goes to show you that Romero, all he did was get a warning. He should have had a point taken from him for something that was blatant. Jacare, I felt, won that fight. Okay? It's one of those things you have to see it for what they are. You have to. So I felt the ref didn't, I felt there was some ref problems when it came to UFC, just missing things of that nature. But 13 seconds, that's ridiculous. There's a lot of things you can do that last longer than 13 seconds. That is absolutely ridiculous. And a lot of people have been asking, does Jose Aldo deserve a rematch? No, he doesn't. Not like that, no, he doesn't. Conor McGregor's already said, if he doesn't fight Frankie Edgar, as we know, he knocked out Chad Mendes. If you don't went to go get something to drink, then you'd have missed the fight. He knocked him out. You know what I mean? Like, if he doesn't fight Edgar, he says he's going to move up to 155. So, pretty much, it depends on, once again, you have business, you have politics. If they can't make this fight happen, he's going to go up to 155. I think McGregor is going to have, I'm not going to say, serious problem, but there is some serious, legit competition that's at 155. I think he's going to have a harder time than at the 145 bracket. Now, he's moving up in weight. I hear a lot of people now saying that, McGregor, yeah, he's doing what champions should do. They move up in weight. And then they start talking about Ronda Rousey again, who would never move up in weight. Well, if that's the case, then why aren't you jumping on John Jones? All right, then. If you're going to call out one person, be fair and call out others. Seriously. But that's what it is. Anyways, like I said, I'm still mad at that. Like I said, not because the way the fight ended, how short the fight was. And I stayed up all this time for this, and 13 seconds, microwave fight bullshit. Anyways, yeah. Next week, there will be more fights. UFC will be putting on, Dos Santos versus Overeem, like that's going to be free on cable, I believe, on Fox Sports 1. I will be watching that. I believe more boxing will be coming on as well. This week should be good. But I'm looking forward to the soccer match today. Hopefully Chelsea can pull it out. If not, next week I'll be yelling at them again. You know how it goes. But I'm just really hoping that people can see this shit for what it is. Like I said, I need to address some things today because you gotta be kidding me if you think that Sam Bradford is the answer and that having hope for the Eagles is frowned upon. It's not just that. You have to look at it from all sides of how they're trying to treat you Eagles fans. But it seems like people don't understand it. And Sixers fans, y'all need to calm the fuck down because you know what? You're getting really bad. The process is dead. Hopefully, this will be something, the silver lining, and say, hey, you know what? We need to do something about this. And Sixers fans can get on board now and saying, okay, officially, the process is over. We need to stop trying to hype it up. Just realize that you got screwed in the process. Because that's what Sam Hinkie sold you. He sold you a dream and then fucked you on it. That's what he did. And as far as I'm concerned, he should be fired. Anyways, I'm done for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. I'm out.